morning. And Deanna, thanks so much
Yes.
for joining us.
Yes. Thank you for having
So good.
me. Thanks for having
Yes,
me.
yes, it's so good to connect. I'm excited for all the information that you're going to be sharing
Yes.
with my audience on why we need to be detoxing our personal care and beauty products and how to go about doing that.
Yes.
So before we dive into
Mm-hmm.
those questions, I would love for you to tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
Great. Thank you. And thanks for having me. This is a lot of fun. So I'm really excited about doing this. And I can't wait to have you in my group too. So I already had a
Yeah,
couple of people message me about it. So I was like, yes, yes, yes.
so fun.
So just a little bit about myself. I'm a West Coast gal. My dad was in the Navy, so we traveled a lot, but we pretty much ended up in Seattle. And then in my 20s, I headed down to LA and loved it there. But I was there for about 12 years and then moved to Dallas. And we've been here now for about the same amount of time. So I'm definitely a Dallas native now, I would say. And I've been a makeup artist for about 20, well, a little over 20 years, we'll just say that. And a clean beauty makeup artist for probably almost 4 years, gosh, almost 4 years. And a portrait photographer for professionally for about 8 years. So basically what I do now, I mean, I still do makeup and photography. I do the makeup and the photography for the photos. So usually portraits or headshots and things like that. But I do a lot of consultations on how to clean up your beauty bag, or even working with like cleaning supplies or pots and pans, like just suggestions on a cleaner lifestyle. So I've kind of ended up down this different path. It's a lot of fun. So makes my business unique and entertaining, and you never know what to expect. So
That is so cool. And yeah, I remember the first time I met you, you were doing makeup at an event that we were both kind of
hmm
helping out at, which
yes.
was really cool. And I was like, I mean, I'm not around a ton of makeup artists on a daily basis, but I've never met a makeup artist that is so focused on clean, non-toxic products. Like, and I love that about you because I'm
Thank
very
you.
particular. Like, I don't like going to get my makeup done anywhere because I'm like, I don't know what is in that stuff that's going on my skin. And so the fact that, you're very aware of that is really, really awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. I think that's what is cool, but I also feel like that it's a movement too. I really feel like consumers, people are getting smarter with, research. I think it's become more publicly known about what's, questioning things. So yeah,
Mhm.
definitely.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, how did you get into clean beauty and really become an advocate for it?
Well, I guess it was about, so my son is 7 now, so I gotta like
Mhm.
count. So about 4.5 years ago, I had my fourth surgery within 5 years. Okay, so I've had a thyroid condition since my early 20s, which is an endocrine issue. I remember when I first got diagnosed, my doctor, I said, how did I get this? What caused this? And he's like, most likely environmental. And that was it. Back in those
Mhm.
days, now it's a little different, but back in those days, it's just like, oh yeah, it's just environmental, that kind of thing. And
Mhm.
so I had a partial thyroidectomy, and then I ended up having a C-section with my kiddo, and then I had two neck surgeries. Obviously, my neurosurgeon went with the wrong surgery and probably should have gone with the more invasive surgery, because 9 months later I had to have that second surgery. But I feel better. I'm great now. But at that point, I had gained 30 pounds. And for my size, I've always been a smaller person. Just even with my hypothyroidism, I've always been on the smaller end. And I'm not saying that's about, needed to be thin, but I just did not feel good. And I was inflamed, and I've had a lot of, anesthesia in how many years, the detox piece
Mhm.
of that. So I started looking into food. I started researching food. And believe it or not, I just didn't really think about the things, non-GMO, GMO, organic for the most part. Eat organic. What does organic really mean? USD organic, 100% organic? Because even in the food industry, you can just slap a label on stuff and it's not really regulated, just
Mhm.
just like the beauty industry.
Right.
So while I was doing that, and just I feel like when you're woke, your things present itself. And a friend of mine posted something on Facebook. A gal I used to work with out in LA worked for Beauty Counter, this company called
Mhm.
Beauty Counter. And I'm like, I've never heard of Beauty Counter. I've been in the beauty industry for however many years, never heard of this company. Started doing research, and then I was like, oh, they're one of those like conspiracy theory kind of companies,
Right.
like, oh, please, somebody is testing all of our products. I mean, everything that's on the shelf is safe, right?
Mhm.
So as I started to delve deeper, I'm like, no, this is legit. Like these ingredients. And I started thinking about my own health issues, and then I started getting upset. Then I knew I had to be a part of this. So without even testing one product from Beauty Counter, I decided to join. And I'm so thankful that the products work and that they're effective and that they're luxurious and all the things. But whether or not it's about the products, honestly, that company has taught me so many things about other avenues. I mean, I even know with probably working with doTERRA, you know, just opens your eyes. It's just such an educational company before product, right? So anyway, I knew I had to be a part of that. And then I realized my clients need to know this. I need to do this. And so I started just really doing my research. My husband thought I was crazy initially too, because I was like, these pots and pans have got to go, and these cleaning supplies, and we're never using bleach again. And, you know, he thought I was losing my mind. He's like, essential oils? What do you mean essential oils? Like, what do you, for what? And now,
like, what is happening?
Right. But he has seen the transformation. He has seen, you know, placebo or not, he has seen it, even with himself, myself, you know, with our kid. So our kid, our child. So, yeah, that's how I got it. So you can tell I'm just really, really passionate about it. So, yeah.
I love that. And I think when you find, I mean, one, when you dive into the research, it's scary, right? And you're like, oh my gosh, like
overwhelmed.
We have all these like government bodies in place that you kind of just naturally trust. And then you start to read and you're like, oh, these things aren't actually regulated. Like now I need to take matters in my own hands and really like, you know, become, you know, educated on this stuff. And
you have to be the FDA for yourself.
You really do.
I mean, you do.
It's unfortunate. It is the truth. So
sad.
So yeah, so like I agree. Once you kind of explore one piece, you start to go down, you know, all the other routes of natural health and what is in all of these other products that I'm using in my home. So what did you find, and what do you still find to be true for like misconceptions about product safety with personal care products in the your industry? One is trust, right? Probably.
Totally. I mean, I think the misconception is that everything that's on a store shelf is completely safe. It's been tested. Somebody's testing it. FDA's testing it. The government's protecting us, you know, like honestly, like that is what I still believe is the misconception. I believe a lot of advertising is misleading because there's no regulation. So there hasn't been a federal law passed since 1938 regarding the personal care products industry, specifically the Personal Care Safety Act. Although it was just reintroduced into the House from Senator Feinstein 2 weeks ago. So it's amazing. It's amazing. So when I heard that, I'm like, that's, you know, 81 years now that there hasn't been a federal law passed since 1938. That's ridiculous. There's been about 80,000 plus you know, chemicals, both natural and synthetic, that have never been tested for human health, which is scary. You know, we have all these, the rise in ADHD, allergies, all these different things. And I'm not saying it's all personal care health or products, but we live in a toxic soup. So if we can eliminate some of these things, especially with ingredients that we know that are linked to cancer, hormone disruption, which is huge, especially in small children, in adolescents, you know, teenagers, especially when they're growing during that puberty period, like the things that can happen then, really scary. So that is one thing that freaks me out. And the thing too, is that the European Union, all those countries ban about 1,400 plus ingredients, right? What do all those countries know? Because the US only bans 30. I've been with Beauty Counter so when I first started with Beauty Counter almost 4 years ago, it was only 11 at that point. So now we ban 30. You know, there's been...
That's a step in the right direction, but we're still way behind.
Right. I mean, it's ridiculous. And so when you think about it like that, you're just like, this is crazy. And then, you know, again, the rise and all these different health issues that we have. I took some notes. I just wanted to make sure I just caught up with a couple of things. So so the US bans only 30. Canada bans about 600, which is impressive compared to us, I guess, you know, but yeah, so those are the things that I find really scary and sad. There are a couple of resources that I just wanted to like shout out to, that people that are new to maybe clean beauty, even though they're in your group, most likely they've got some idea of clean living. But EWG, of course, Environmental Working Group, they also have a clean living app. I do like them. I think they're a great resource to start off with. I still think do your research, because even some of the ingredients that they give low numbers to are still questionable in my mind.
Okay.
Also, Campaign for Safe Cosmetics has some really great information on their website. And then also Beauty Counter has a lot of information. And this is not just selling Beauty Counter, but they are so transparent. They give a lot of wonderful information on their website. You go down to the FAQs, ingredient selection, ingredient glossary. You can look up anything and it'll tell you why, they don't use it. They also have a thing called the Never List. So Beauty Counter bans about 1,500 different ingredients. They basically took the European Union's ingredients and then they did their own research. And they're like, we're going to throw in all these other things that we have found that we refuse to ever use. So they have a Never List. I'm trying to think if I have it right here, but it's a little card that we give out, and you can even find it on the website, of all the ingredients that they refuse to ever use. And those ingredients I definitely go by. So
yeah.
Those are great resources as far as if you're just starting, this.
Yes. No, all of those resources are amazing. I agree. EWG.org is a great site for so many things like skincare, cosmetics,
cleaning supply, clean water. Yes.
Your food, like you can get the Dirty Dozen and Clean 15 list, which they update every single year. I think 2019 out. So yeah, all of that good stuff. And then yeah, I agree. Like Beauty Counter is a wonderful resource, just even simply for education purposes.
Just for education purposes. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
For sure. And I love how you talked about just the level of toxins in our environment. One of the things I talk a lot about is like how chronic stress is the root of chronic disease, right? And one of so many different stressors, but a common stressor is environmental toxins. And so there's some we can't control, right? Like we can't control the air that we breathe outside, but we can control what is in our house and what we put on our skin and what we put in our mouth. And so as we're reducing the burden on our body, like our body's designed to detox, but when, it has a threshold. So
totally,
and kind of lessen that burden, then it's going to improve your overall health. So I love
definitely. And it's, whether we believe it or not, I mean, our skin is our largest organ, and we do absorb, especially if you're putting it on day after day after day.
And multiple products. I mean, like you probably know the statistics, like the number of chemicals that the average woman puts on in a day is
over $100. Yeah. I mean, over $100, over 100 ingredients, both natural. And just because something is all natural doesn't mean that it's safe either, or that it's effective even, I mean, I've gone down that route and I'm like, is this paste? Or wait a minute, I've got an itchy reaction, because not everybody gets on with, tea tree oil, or whatever it is. So it's
you have to test out on yourself and see what works.
Exactly.
And, so you want the combination of like efficacy and like low toxicity.
Exactly.
That's perfect. So on that note, what are your top 3 to 5 ingredients that you would recommend ditching first?
So when I started this clean beauty journey, I basically tossed everything. My professional kit was so gross. My own personal makeup supply was really scary. But I'm a makeup artist, and I was also a makeup junkie, junkie. Fragrance was one thing that I had a lot of. I loved perfume. I love things to smell good. Are you getting feedback? I'm sorry. Are you hearing me okay?
I hear you fine.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm just like, So fragrance, I'm just going to admit it. I had 80 bottles of fragrance on my shelf. I had 2 shelves and they were all displayed all pretty. And in my house, you could find the most luxurious, high perfume smelling candles. I had plug-ins. I had every fragrant detergent. I'm not joking. I was just that girl. I loved to smell good. And now when I think about it, I feel so bad for the people that I would be around. I'm sure they were like, because that's how I am now. I can't even if I smell I'm like, essential oils are different, or roller balls. And there are some fragrances I still keep, but that was the first thing I ditched. And guess what? My sinus infections have gone away. I used to get like a sinus infection every couple months. It would be just like clockwork. And obviously my body wasn't able to
Mm-hmm.
detox, especially spraying it on my skin. I've had a thyroid condition since my
Yeah.
early 20s. I've been using perfume on my skin directly since I was probably 13 or 14. So that was one thing, because the thing about fragrance is that the ingredients that are in there, specifically under fragrance, can be considered a trade secret, or is considered a trade secret. And these companies do not have to disclose what's in there. That can be anything. That can be everything from formaldehyde to parabens to whatever, all these different ingredients that you don't even know because they don't have to disclose. And we find that that's a
Yeah.
big problem. And fragrance, honestly, is becoming a toxin. It's like harmful, toxic, and it's even banned in certain doctors' offices. Now
Mm-hmm.
schools are getting rid of, like, no, guys can't be wearing that Axe stuff, like people are really
Yeah.
starting to notice, like, boy, allergies are crazy. And that's also attributing to that. So that is the one thing, if you can get rid of, is fragrance. That means fragrance in your laundry detergent, fragrance of candles, perfume, anything that says fragrance or parfum. Okay. That
Yep.
is the
Yep.
one thing. Parabens, we know, phthalates, those are both hormone disruptors, endocrine disruptors, that can really mess with the body. And
Mm-hmm.
specifically with parabens, they have, with breast cancer, I mean, this is not like, I'm making up this news, but, after doing surgery and removing certain things, they test and they can see levels of parabens in there, because they can be,
Yeah.
estrogen mimickers. So, when you're producing too much estrogen, your body's like, bah. So yeah, so those are the other two. And since we're going into summer, I definitely wanted to talk about oxybenzone,
Yeah.
octisolate. I can never pronounce that word. So those two specific ingredients have been banned in Hawaii, and will be banned in, what is it, Key West. I think they have until 2020. No, 2021. And then Palau has already banned it, and it has to happen by next year. So, not only because it damages the coral reefs, but we also know that it's an endocrine disruptor and can lead to other things. So, and with your sunscreen, go to something that's like a mineral
Mm-hmm.
sunscreen, zinc
Yes.
oxide, titanium dioxide, those types of things. And make sure that the number is above, I think, 10% or 12%, because some of the natural brands have been lower than that, and then people get really burned. And there was a lawsuit a couple of years ago
Right.
against a pretty big company because they didn't have a high
Yes.
enough.
Yes. I remember that.
So
Yeah.
even natural brands or cleaner brands need regulation as well. It's not just like the regular conventional chemically laden brands, so
Yep.
anyway, I can go on and on about ingredients, but those would be the top ones I would get rid of. And
I think those are great.
yeah.
Yeah.
And there's one other ingredient that's connected to the sunscreen, and that, especially if it has oxybenzone, avobenzone, octisolate, is vitamin A palmitate. And specifically, I don't know why they put it in there, because it's supposed to smooth the skin and whatever, and as the sun. But vitamin A, if you really think about what that is, it's retin A. If you take that out into the sun, they even
Mm-hmm.
say do not go out in the sun. So what are you doing when you're out in the sun? You've got vitamin A palmitate. It's in a lot of over-the-counter brands still to this day.
Yep.
And we're finding that connection to melanoma and all of that. So yeah, it's scary.
Nuts.
Yeah. And I just had a friend,
It is.
yeah, I just had a friend diagnosed with, she had a bunch of different melanomas on her skin. Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Man, yeah. I mean, yeah, looking at those ingredients, I think you really hit some of the key ones for sure. Like
Mm-hmm.
fragrance is a big one. I'm like you. Like now, if I'm around it, like when I get in like Uber cars and with all the air fresheners,
Air fresheners, yes.
like it's too much. Like I have to roll
Yes.
down my window. I don't care how cold it is outside. The driver probably thinks I'm nuts, but I'm like, this is ridiculous.
And it should be
awful.
banned. They shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like smoking. You might as well
Yeah.
just smoke in the car then,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's awful.
No, but I love that. And I'm so glad you brought up sunscreen too, because yeah, the mineral-based sunscreens are definitely the way to go. I totally agree with you there.
Yes.
So let's talk about brands, because I know you work with Beauty Counter, and so I'd love to hear some of your favorite Beauty Counter products, but also what other clean beauty brands do you use?
So yes, well, obviously I love Beauty Counter. I've talked about it several times. But that doesn't mean I only use Beauty Counter, because we don't have everything. And there are some products that I like from other brands that we have that are just a little different. And that's fine, because I am a consumer and I am a beauty junkie. So, and makeup and skincare junkie. So I try everything because I want to be able to have an opinion on it too, and be able to know what's out there, because that's part of my job. So of course with Beauty Counter, because they ban intentionally. So they ban the 1,500 different ingredients. And then their ingredient selection process is crazy. For them to take an ingredient and actually put that to use with their labs, and, when they're creating products, it's got to be tested, third-party tested, and then third-party tested again. I mean, the rigorous testing that they go through is crazy. And they'd rather just hold on to a product idea before they come out with something that doesn't work. So like one thing, we don't have a moisturizer with sunscreen at this point in it. Okay. And the reason why is because we haven't been able to figure out something safely to put together, and make it work effective to our standards with the ingredients that we're okay with. And, I haven't really looked into other brands yet with that, because I end up using like our Dew Skin, which is my all-time fave. It's a tinted moisturizer, gives a little bit of dewiness, has SPF 20, but it kind of evens out my skin tone. But it's not super hydrating like a regular moisturizer with sunscreen. So, and then we do have our regular sunscreen, which is just as hydrating, that sometimes if I know I'm going to be out in the sun, I'll put it on all over my face as a moisturizer because it's hydrating enough. And I'll use it as body lotion that day, especially if I know I'm going to be out. The one thing I think that people don't think about is that if you're wearing makeup of any kind, when you go basically from outdoor to indoor, that should be enough. If you're going to be out in the sun, that's when you definitely need to be wearing sunscreen, like full on sunscreen, or if you're driving in your car for a long period of time too. I always try to explain, like if you're traveling to work, takes you 45 minutes, half an hour, whatever, then yes, definitely wear the sunscreen. But basic makeup should do the deed. Because then you'd have to be reapplying every 90 minutes anyway, right? So it's like just thinking about that. So I love that. I love our skincare. I love our cosmetics. Our cosmetics are definitely makeup artist grade as far as colors. And when you put the pigments on, they last forever. I mean, just really, really beautiful. A lot of innovation with them. And they just keep continuing. They're still a very young company. We're only 6 years old. And so we're still learning and we're still creating. It's pretty awesome. So at Beauty-Counter, I also love RMS Beauty. I love their like little luminous pops of color. Let's see, what else do I like? I like their Uncover makeup for like a little bit of a heavier coverage. I also like, I just want to make sure I remembered everybody. I wrote it down just in case I would forget, because I knew I would. Pacifica is a pretty good brand. I like their mascara. Mascara is a tough one. I don't love Beauty-Counter's mascara. It's very natural. Pacifica is pretty good, but for a clean mascara, it's just really hard to find ones that replicate the higher toxic one, like the better toxic ones. Yeah. It's just the one thing, and hairspray. Those are the two things that I struggle with. And listen, my goal is to always be, heading for progress, not perfection. It really is like, you can't be perfect. And I do wear, certain things on certain days, not all the time. So I try to remind myself, like, listen, I'm not going to be toxic free. You cannot be toxic free just based on environmental, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So Tata Harper is one that I love her stuff. And she created that because her father had cancer. So she does beautiful skincare. She has these beautiful roller balls that are lovely, that are nice for fragrance. So she's great. And then deodorant, I detoxed from deodorant a long time ago when I started this journey, because I started actually having a reaction. But when I do use deodorant, I like Agent Nature. I'm about ready to do a whole thing on that brand because I've been, testing it out for about 3 weeks. And then Milk and Honey has a great one. And then some Honest products are pretty good. And then for nail polish, Coty, Jane Ari Riddell is not bad. So yeah, those are some brands.
Awesome. Those are great recommendations. Yeah, it's good to know like what other brands. There are like several Beauty-Counter things that I love. Like even like at my office desk, I've got like my collection of some lipsticks.
Oh, yay!
Right here.
Way to support, girl.
Like whenever I do a video, I want like a little color, I love the eye palettes. I'm like so in love with the eyeshadows.
They're so long wearing, right?
Yeah. Yes. I love all that stuff. So
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yay.
great products. Speaking of deodorant, it took me a while to find a really good natural deodorant, and doTERRA has a really good one.
Oh,
So you
good.
should give it a
Okay.
try.
Okay. I will
Yeah,
definitely.
they reformulated it, and so it's like a one rating on EWG,
Oh,
and
great.
works really well.
Okay,
So yeah.
good. I'll have to test it out. Definitely. Definitely.
Yes, yes. Well, that's awesome because I know for me, like there was a period of time where I was like real on EWG a lot a
I
few
know.
years ago, trying to like do research on skincare products and beauty products because um it's so hard to really know like what are okay ingredients, what aren't, like what's, and like you said, like there's some natural products that just aren't effective. And so
Right. Right.
finding that balance of like, it's gonna work, but it's clean as well. And so
Exactly. And just like what we talked about, it's like, with all the natural ingredients, just because it's all natural does not mean anything. Because again, with the labeling,
right.
you can put organic and natural, and then you turn it around, you're like, but it has parabens
But
in
what
it.
is this?
Why does it have
Exactly.
like the worst ingredient in it? I mean, I
I know.
go to
Yeah.
the store and I lose my mind. But with Beauty Counter, they're a little over 80% natural ingredients, plant derived ingredients. And they ban over 1,500 different ingredients. So for
Yeah.
me, the way they ban the ingredient selection process, I trust them. Like I trust them. And the thing is we actually advocate. We've gone to Washington D.C., talked to Congress. I've actually gone to local lawmakers because they have us out in the field. They're like, hey, it's March 4th, which is our anniversary, and we say March 4th,
Uh-huh.
and we talk about the Personal Care Safety Act. And I just met with a local lawmaker last week, and it's incredible that they don't even know, and then they're amazed and they're asking questions, because it's not it's not something they're discussing, but then they're like, oh really, and they're asking a ton of questions. So that's what I love
Yeah.
about this, is that we actually walk the walk. We're not just talking the talk. We actually
Exactly.
really, yeah. So that's been an important part to this too. But what else was I going to say about the natural thing? Yeah, so I just feel like you just have to know, because some people are allergic to coconut oil even, or,
Right.
yeah, and
Yeah.
gluten issues and all these different things, fish oil,
All,
yeah, just
yeah.
crazy stuff. So even if it's
It
natural,
is.
doesn't mean that it's not going to be bothersome either. So
No, it's
yeah.
so true. Yes, I preach the same message with essential oils. I'm like, just because it says pure doesn't mean anything,
Oh,
So
definitely. And the mislabeling that can happen with that,
yeah.
well, and you see this, what's great, the one thing that I've seen in the almost 4 years that I've been with Beauty Counter is, there's progress, like even Target. So they've given their companies, their purveyors that work with them,
Mhm.
I think they have until next, or is it 2020 or 2021? Ugh, Kate was on here, she'd remember. But they gave them a long list of chemicals that they needed to get rid of in order to sell at their store. So if
Yeah,
you go into a Target, you're starting to see cleaner beauty things, even cleaner
you
products,
are.
cleaner food, less
Yeah.
less artificial ingredients.
Hmm.
Even in the bigger stores now, even Sephora, Nordstrom has a clean beauty area now. Neiman
Yeah,
Marcus has one too. You're just kind of like, okay, because consumers are getting smarter. They're paying
they
attention.
are.
They're paying attention, which
Yeah.
is great. This is a movement. It's a movement. So, yeah.
It really is. I think people are really starting to wake up to just, what's
Questioning.
happening in our environment and
Yep.
all of the, you know, chronic illnesses that we're dealing with, and we're not finding solutions the conventional way, and
Sure.
people are starting to want to educate it and look for more natural options and kind of go back to our roots. And so
I
I love
agree.
it. It really is no doubt about it. So
It's great.
thank you so much for all the information you shared,
Yes.
because I know I a lot, and I am sure everyone that is watching is really taking notes and learning too. So, how can people contact you? Where can people go to find you?
Well, thank you for having me, Jen. I appreciate it. This has been, like I said, this has been a lot of fun. I love this. So
Yay!
thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So you can find me on Instagram under Goodness Greenish. So greenish, because
I
I
love
named that after, because I would always go, goodness gracious, oh, and because I really want to curse really, really bad. And so
that.
so that's where I just go, ugh. So, and then the greenish is just a little play on, like, I'm not trying to be perfect. I'm green. I still color my hair. I'm doing the
Yep.
best I can, girl. I'm doing the best I can.
Exactly.
So I Instagram Goodness Greenish, and then I have a little VIP group that's kind of easier. That's Goodness Greenish as well, that we can probably post in the comments. Would that be good?
Yep.
And then
Yep.
and then deannaboyd.com, and that's getting reworked right now. So you'll just see mainly my portfolio, but you can contact me that way. And honestly, for anyone that's out here listening, if you just want to reach out to me about a question on an ingredient, or like a lot of my clients, they'll text me a picture and they're like, is this safe? They're at Sprouts, and I'll look at it and I'll tell them, it's not just,
Yeah.
if you work with me, and I'm not going to just say only beauty counter, only this, only that. I will help you. That's part of what I do.
Yeah.
So yeah, so reach out to me.
I love it. I love it. Well,
Yay.
cool. Well, thank you so much.
Thank
This was so great,
you.
so informative, and I always love connecting with you. So this was
Yes.
fun.
Same. Okay, girl.
Well, yeah. Have a great rest of your Friday and enjoy your weekends.
Okay, you too. Okay, bye, hun. See ya. Bye.
Bye.